All right, the 26F control valve. The 26F control valve figure 2 is an automatic type of the control valve consisting of the brake pipe bracket in which all the pipe connections are made with a service portion, a quick release portion. The service portion is responding to services, emergency rate to the brake pipe reduction, to develop the brake pipe cylinder with the reference to the conditions of the brake pipe pressure with the control reserve pressure. Pipe connection in the pipe bracket is designated with numerically identified as follows. 1. The brake pipe. 5. The auxiliary reserve. 7. The control reserve. 9. The selector valve volume. 10. The brake cylinder exhaust. 13. The actuating pipe. And 16. The brake cylinder application pipe. The service portion contains a service spool valve actuated with the 2 diaphragms selected with the proper reference to the brake pipe cylinder developing guided with reduction in the brake pipe pressure, reference to the control for reserve pressure. The application release valve elements controls the movement of the air in the auxiliary reservoir to the relay valve of the control pipe from later into the atmosphere. Whenever the brake pipe reduction occurs, the special service valve assembly moves upward to the first close the release valve and then open the application. The service valve spool element also serves exhaust to all control valve releases, but valve and relay valve control pressure whenever the brake pipe pressures increase. The diaphragm area ratio together with the spring arrangement of the service valve for the portion permits stable operation of the automatic brake valve. Brake together with the proper development of the brake cylinder pressure and the operator with satisfactory with the other systems of the automatic brake control. The service portion also includes a charging valve with the function to cut off the flow of the air from the quick service volume to the atmosphere. Also causes dissipation of the control reserve air of the brake pipe during the graduated release operation with the control valve. The 3 check valves are provided for A. Charging auxiliary reserve for the brake pipe, auxiliary reserve charging check valve, or B. Dissipating control reserve air brake pressure during the direct release action of the control valve. A control reserve dissipation check reserve. Dissipation of the brake pipe air spring chamber, the selector valve to the quick service volume during the initial stage of the brake. The backflow check valve. This shows you the brake cylinder and service valve, selector valve, quick portion, and I'm going to turn it back. Alright, the selector provided with a direct graduated release cap is located with the service position and the position determined with the type of service the locomotive is to be used. The selector valve provides the feature to enable the control valve to be satisfactorily trained in the D22 brake equipment. The diaphragm operated with the spool valve functions similarly. The triple valve, the selector valve with the air pressure onto the other face of the diaphragm opposed with the brake pipe air pressure of the spring side of the diaphragm. And this function start of the brake pipe reduction to produce a quick service function. It is also provided with a graduated release function that with the graduated release cap, the graduated release portion provides the direct and prompt release. With the graduated release cap, the direct release portion, the selector valve overcharge check valve located in the selector valve exhaust passage consistent with a spring-located check valve vent protector retaining approximately 35 to 45 psi selector volume pressure on the outer face of the selector valve diaphragm during the emergency brake pipe. During emergency brake applications, making it necessary to finish increase brake pipe pressure to the valve locked up with the selector valve, pressure valve, volume of the pressure valve before the release of any of the emergency brake pipe application can be accomplished. The service portion also contains 2 brake cylinders limited to the valve, 1 limited to the brake pipe cylinder. The pressure obtained during the service of the brake pipe applications are the limits of maximum brake cylinder pressure obtained during an emergency brake application. The 2 limiting valves are arranged in a parallel. The emergency brake pipe brake cylinder pressure limit to the valve with the head. It's held by a predetermined brake pipe pressure and is open to the limit of the brake pipe cylinder pressure, and only after the brake pipe pressure is reduced below the value of during the emergency the brake pipe application setting of the emergency brake pipe cylinder pressure limiting the valve with the pressure assembly for the parts. No adjustment whether the setting of the brake service brake system cylinder pressure limiting the valve is adjustable is set to the test rack and sealed with the sealing wire. The seal shall not be broken and except for the authorization proper railroad personnel. All right, the quick valve portion. The quick release valve portion in the 26F control valve is designed to permit the independent release of the locomotive allowing the automatic brake application to develop in the service portion. Upon depressing the independent brake valve handle, the air pressure developed in the actuating pipe number 13 at the brake valve flows from the number 13 control valve to causing the operation of the small diaphragm spool valve assembly with the quick release valve portion. Movement of the diaphragm spool valve interrupts the valve atmosphere. The air pressure developed with the surface application pipe of the relay valve. The operation of the small diaphragm quick release of the valve portion initiates the operation of a larger diaphragm spool valve into the turn, permits the venting of the control of reserve air pressure. The atmosphere, the amount is sufficient to equalize the control reserve pressure with brake pipe pressure. This prevents application of the brakes, and upon the release of the independent brake valve, in orderly to prevent the completing of the venting of the control reserve pressure. The following emergency brake application to assure the automatic brake valve automatic brake valve brake application immediately following the emergency brake application. The control reserve pressure retaining the check valve is built into the control reserve exhaust port in place where the WASP excluder employed with the early version of the quick release of the valve portion. The check valve, which with the vent protector, retains the approximately 20 psi controlling the reserve pressure. Control valve operation.